South Park is no stranger to controversy. Crazy take, I know. And Cartman is a controversy king. Now, he's obviously no stranger to crime either. Just ask Blooms.
Prostitution, vandalism, manslaughter, murder by proxy, and forced suicide.
But in all of those crimes, one stands out. A hate crime. And this time it's not even his fault, it's Kyle's. Well, not really, but we'll get to that later. Season 4, Episode 2's Cartman's Silly Hate Crime 2000 takes a stance against the hate crime legislation.
So this episode was called Cartman's Silly Hate Crime, which was sort of our statement show against hate crime legislation.
Which we thought was silly.
Yeah, we still think that's kind of silly.
But with all that being said, let's just jump right in. The episode starts with the boys sled racing when the girls come over and they want their turn on the sleds. That's when Cartman commits his first hate crime.
Sleds are for guys. Yeah, why don't you chicks go wash some dishes or get pregnant or something?
But that's not a hate crime, so I feel as if I should define a hate crime. So we'll do that. A hate crime is a crime, typically one involving violence, that is motivated by prejudice on the basis of ethnicity, religion, sexual orientation, or similar grounds. So because Cartman didn't get violent with Wendy, it's not a hate crime. Remember, no violence, no hate crime. A reason, they're fucking stupid. Anyways, the girls challenged the 4 best boys to a race against the 4 best girls on Phil Collins Hill. Matt and Trey named the hill that because before airing the season, they went to the Oscars, yes, the same one they got high in, and lost the Oscar to Phil Collins. So, that's why. After the girls leave the boys, everyone is hyping up Stan, Kyle, and Kenny when Tolkien makes fun of Cartman's enormously fat.
Yeah, those girls don't realize what good sledders Stan, Kyle, and Kitty are.
Yeah, and with Cartman's enormously fat ass, the boys are sure to win.
Token, I swear to God, you call me fat one more time, I'm gonna smack you in the head with this rock.
Then Cartman swears that if Tolkien calls him fat again, he's going to smack him in the head with this rock. Tolkien then refrains from saying anything until Kyle, in a Tolkien voice, calls him fat. Cartman, just blinded by rage, just cannot take it anymore, hurls the rock at Tolkien's face.
Fat ass.
But, you know, if nothing, Cartman is a man of his word. He did say he was gonna throw the rock in. Well, he did throw the rock. After throwing the rock, Cartman is sent to the principal's office where he gets 2 weeks of detention. Oh, and you know, the FBI is like arresting him for a hate crime or something, but 2 weeks of detention? Like, that's way too long. Cartman is then put on trial.
Cartman, do you know a boy by the name of Token?
You mean Tolkien, you bigot? How are they even gonna get through this court case with this bigoted racist? After losing the case, he is sentenced to Alamosa Juvenile Hall until he is 21. But you know, that's light work. That's only like 13 years. But he can't go to jail, he's gotta use his humongous ass to win the sledding race.
One more time, I'm gonna smack you in the head with this rock. Fat ass.
It's safe to say Cartman is in quite the pickle. To get out of going to prison, Cartman pleads with Kenny to let him use his Go-Go Action Bronco. After obtaining the Go-Go Action Bronco, Cartman takes it on a high-speed chase.
Bold move off an exit of 285. He's going into a residential neighborhood now. This is where it could get dangerous as there are...
After getting caught and arrested at the Mexican border, he is taken to Alamosa. Meanwhile, the boys replace Cartman with Clyde, who is supposedly the second fattest kid in town. You know what? I see it. Clyde is a fat and a little stupid little just a big old jelly belly. While in jail, he meets this kid named Romper Stomper. Romper Stomper, in exchange for information on busting out, asks Eric to sneak him in some cigarettes. Back at Phil Collins Hill, the boys replace Clyde with a pile of bricks, as Clyde isn't fat enough. See, I disagree. Clyde's a fat just a big old mother sack of gargantuan massive ass piece of. When testing out the bricks, they crash, and the bricks fall on Kenny and squish him to death.
Oh my God, we killed Kenny. We killed Kenny? We killed Kenny, we're bastards.
Facing the facts, the boys try to bust Cartman out of jail by sneaking a nail file in a cake. Off topic, but has that ever worked? Hold on, let me look it up. Anyway, Kyle and Cartman show up at his visiting hours and try to sneak him some cigarettes through the speaker hole. Cartman then takes them and shoves them up his ginormous ass.
One more time, I'm gonna smack you in the head with this rock. Fat ass.
After giving the cigarettes to Romper, he reveals that he tricked him and says there is no way to escape this place. That is, unless he can sneak something else in. Meanwhile, Kyle and Stan talk to Tolkien's dad and he gives them
A little lesson about hate crime laws.
Fun fact, this is the first episode that Adrian Beard voices Token on the show. Up to this point, it was Trey Parker. The reason for the change came from Matt and Trey feeling that it was probably a little bit insensitive for them to portray/voice a black character. Back at the prison, Cartman shits out a tic-tac-throw game for Romper Stomper in exchange again for some information. Although instead of information, Romper Stomper belittles Cartman to the point where Cartman, yes, the same kid who ground up this kid's parents, made them into chili, and fed them to a kid, cries. Well, granted, that was a little later in the show, but still counts. Though, when Romper Stomper hears him cry, he has a change of heart and decides to help out Cartman with his escape. After this, we cut to Tolkien, Stan, and Kyle giving the governor a presentation on hate crime laws. The presentation is presented very well and the kids make a very fair point. Basically what they say is, isn't every crime a hate crime law? If a man vandalizes a government building, is it not for his hatred of the government? Or if a man beats another man for sleeping with his wife, is it not for the man's hatred of the other? They make a great point and win over the governor. Back at the prison, Cartman and Romper Stomper are fleeing from the prison. Cops hot on their trail. They make it fully out until Romper Stomper trips on his little boots, I guess you could call them. Seeing little option for both of them escaping, Romper tells Eric to
You go on ahead without me.
Eric, not understanding human emotions basically at all, says okay and is ready to leave him behind. But just then, the cops show up to tell Eric that he has been released and is a free man.
All right, freeze.
You'll never take us alive. We're going down together, pigs.
But you've been pardoned by the governor.
Sweet. Later, dudes.
Tolkien, Stan, and Kyle's plan worked. Now all they have to do is win that race.
We got him, girls. Oh no, the girls are gonna win. You can do it.
We're not gonna make it.
Uh-huh.
Cartman's Silly Hate Crime 2000 shows the need for perspective. Perspective is vital everywhere. In a court of law, a religion, statistics, or even a sled race. No, but seriously, perspective changes the entire meaning to a hate crime. With perspective, we see that every crime is low-key just a hate crime. The 8-year-olds say it best.
If a man beats another man because that man was sleeping with his wife, is that not a hate crime?
If a person vandalizes a government building, is it not because of his hate for the government?
Matt and Trey could see that those laws were full of plot holes, so to speak. While doing away with them entirely wouldn't be my take, it's important to see all facets of something. So let's talk about the support and criticisms of hate crime laws in America. A supporting claim. The laws protect vulnerable communities like the African American, LGBTQ, or the Jewish communities, just to name a few. Hand in hand with this, it also deters any would-be violent oppressors from committing such vile acts as the average minimum sentencing for a hate crime is 10 years or up to life in prison, or even the death penalty in extreme cases, while that of a non-bias motivated crime such as murder, drug trafficking, or possession of any account carry a sentence of anywhere between 9 months or up to 17 years in prison, or life in extremity. On the other hand, hate crime laws are rooted in moral dilemmas and hypocrisy. For one, just as Kyle said, how is every crime not committed off the basis of some kind of hate? And I hate to quote Kyle again, but he is the voice of our generation. If a man vandalizes a government building, is that not for the man's hatred towards the government? Or if a man kills another man for sleeping with the man's partner, would that not be a crime committed because of the hate the man feels for the other man? In conclusion, hate crime laws are full of holes and need to be fixed. But at the end of the day, South Park is just a TV show. They can't help us in the real world. While we thank it for starting the dialogue, we have to be the ones to finish it and make sure the world can be a good place for all of us and our future generations. Oh, and Clyde's a fat f***.